Hey guys, welcome to our very first ever episode of This Week in Movie News from the Movie Chickk. We are super excited. You guys have been asking for this on Twitter for quite some time. I've been getting tweets and Facebook messages and stuff on the website. This is the first that I have seen all-female movie news show on the internet. We are super excited about it. And, you know, before we even get started with anything, you guys have been going to the site, following the Twitter, but you haven't met any of these girls yet. You know who I am, but it's time for you to meet everybody else. So we're going to go around the table so you guys can find out and meet the lovely ladies that you've been reading.
Hey guys, I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @themenguin. That's TheMenguin.
I am Katie Cullen. I am the local geek chick, I suppose. And you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I'm also on Snapchat at Kia Prime.
Hey guys, I'm Zoe Hewitt, and I'm definitely the resident rom-com fan here. So you won't catch me at the horror movies. You can,
or me.
You can find me on Twitter at Zoe Said What. That's ZoeSaidWhat. And if you're old school on Facebook, I'm there too.
Those old school people on Facebook. I don't know what we're going to do with those people. We're happy she's finally on Twitter. It took a minute to get her there, but we're happy she's finally on Twitter. So make sure you show these lovely ladies some love. Before we get started, you guys, the intern's here. I don't know if you can see her. She brought her Princess Leia ears because she wanted to make sure that you knew that she loved Star Wars as much as you did. So she did. And on a more serious note, before we get started with the show, I think the first thing that we need to talk about for sure is the passing of Wes Craven, 76 years old from cancer. And God, he was a man that really changed the horror genre for so many and was behind so many amazing movies. And I mean, I don't think I've ever slept again from Nightmare on Elm Street. So,
well, that was the idea. That was the whole point of the song.
9, 10, etc.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much
brutal. Do you guys have a favorite Craven film, or was there anything that about his career that you really loved and that spoke to you?
The Scream franchise, 100%. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise as well. I have a lot to say on both of these franchises, but Scream in particular because it was the first movie of his I ever saw. I was introduced to the first Scream when I was about in 6th grade, and they were showing it on TV, and I watched the first 10 minutes.
You were in 6th grade when that came out?
On TV.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's horrifying that you saw it in 6th grade.
Yeah, or that you were in 6th grade.
Well, it was on TV in 6th grade, which means it came out before then.
I didn't make it through the movie after that opening scene, which is one of the most
effective,
infamous, horror movie openings of all time. I couldn't sleep. And it wasn't until years later, you know, I hadn't seen the whole movie. It wasn't until years later that I found out it was a comedy. I was like, what? That movie that kept me up all night? Like the first 10 minutes kept me up. I'm supposed to find it funny. And then I watched it and I was like, oh yeah, that is really funny.
It is.
So he was a person who could scare the daylights out of you, but then also make you laugh. And both the Nightmare on Elm Street series and the Scream franchise are indicative of that. And
Nightmare doesn't make you laugh. Sorry. Go ahead. Keep
Scream
going.
didn't make me laugh.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Really?
Go ahead.
Really?
I wasn't in 6th grade.
also, one that's really overlooked, Red Eye.
Yeah.
Red Eye is
yeah.
fantastic for anybody who hasn't seen it.
And it's more thriller than horror, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not considered a horror movie. It's more of a psychological thriller. And the performances are great.
Katie, do you have a favorite Craven movie?
Honestly, I don't watch a lot of horror. I also have to say the Scream franchise because this one over here got me into it, and essentially...
Watch it!
She essentially sat me down and went, I know you don't do horror movies, but you got to do this one. Like, seriously? And then I watched it and went, okay. So occasionally it's, I had a bad day. I want to go watch a bunch of teenagers get murdered. And then you pop Scream on. It makes you feel better.
The first bit of it that I actually showed you, I remember this. I did have a bad day and I sat down and I asked her if it was okay to watch it. She wasn't paying attention. And you get to the part in the garage where Ghostface is getting beer bottles thrown directly at his face. And I paused it. I was like, Katie, I know you don't like horror movies, but you have to see this. And I played it and I'm like, okay, you may now carry on with the rest of of your day.
Did I stick around for the rest of it after that?
I don't
I
think
feel like
so.
I might have after that.
Okay, now is that when someone was also caught in the garage door as it was going?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, that happened right after.
Afterwards.
This was not a funny movie. This was
That is the strongest garage door motor I have ever seen in my
Watch
life.
it again. He gets some beer bottles thrown directly at his face and then gets hit in the face with a refrigerator door. It is hysterical.
Okay,
And he also did the Hills Have Eyes, which wasn't super horror, and Swamp Thing, which wasn't super
Yeah,
horror.
they were more horror comedies
Yeah.
and within the same vein as like Evil Dead.
The Hills Have Eyes was a horror comedy?
It's a lot of people consider it to be really bleak, but a lot of people actually do consider it a black comedy.
Okay.
I know.
I'll roll
That's-
with it.
So do you have a favorite?
Not the
Craven?
remake, though.
Well, I'd go with the Scream franchise mostly because that's probably the least scary out of everything. So it is the only thing I've seen. However, I will say I think it's really impressive that like 20 years after that movie premiered, MTV has a Scream show now. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
how
it's
iconic
great.
it
It's
is.
part of it.
And he was-
I mean, it's still around, so
Yeah.
that's how you know you've made a good movie.
Well, and Scream 4 came out 5-6 years
It came
ago?
out in 2011. It was the last
4 years.
It was the last movie he directed.
Yeah.
That's
And-
that's a good one, yeah.
And a
That's
bit
good
of
one.
fun Friends trivia, right? That's where Courtney Cox met her former husband now. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
sad about that too.
I know, that was such a bummer.
One of the things that I thought was pretty amazing from Wes Craven is he started his career directing X-rated films.
Yeah,
So he went from
porn industry.
X-rated films to horror, but he really made a name for himself. He changed the genre so much. So I only thought it was fair to kind of give a little nod to him and send our condolences to his family and anyone that ever worked with him. I know lots of friends that have interviewed him and just said that he was absolutely fabulous. So we wanted to make sure that we paid our respect. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the box office breakdown this week. There was some big movies that came out and weren't so big. But it was kind of a slow weekend at the box office. Straight Outta Compton stayed at the top for the third week in a row. Number 2 was War Room, which was a religious drama that I had not heard about. I read the box office report.
But if you read the IMDb comments on it, they're really interesting.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, hang on. I'm
What did
going to
they
pull that
say?
up so we
Just
can...
talking
Wait,
about
are they air appropriate?
I don't know. I'm going to
how
look.
religious that movie is, and like if you're a Christian believer, they're really interesting.
The third was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. The fourth was The Newcomer No Escape with Owen Wilson. And we had We Are Your Friends, which opened last weekend, but nobody went to see it, apparently, except for me and the intern who did go to see it with me. It was the third worst release debut
Wow.
in recent history.
Didn't it make like under $1 million? Or just over $1 million?
You know what scared me the most is the director was the guy from Catfish. Do you ever watch that show on
Okay.
MTV? So there was Nev and then the other guy that I can't remember his name right now. He was the director of this. And I think that they really went with like Zac Efron, all the girls who want to go see him. So there was lots of like topless scenes with him and running and sweaty and sex and... It was just strange, but I think they really
was
thought
like
that the
19.
teenagers would like show up for this, and they didn't.
Now,
it was
since
kind of sad.
Since you were the only one here when saw it, do you think it deserves that necessarily? Because there are some movies that underperformed this weekend, like Sinister 2, that probably deserve to be at the spot that they're at.
You know, I have to say the one thing that I really liked about this movie, the one thing I didn't like about this movie is it made me feel old. The thing I liked about this movie was that had I been that age, I would have loved this movie. Being in LA for 10 years and starting in the bar business, I knew each one of the characters. I knew a DJ, I knew a promoter, I knew the wannabe actor, I knew the good DJ that wanted to bring the little DJ in. So I knew those characters, so I was invested because of that. But I don't think it was a bad movie. I just don't think people showed up for it, which was really sad.
I didn't know what it was until I saw a review for it, and the review basically went, "This is the most bored I have ever been in my life."
Which means it might
And
be
I
my
have
top
to
of-
wonder if you liked it because you related to it, because you knew those people in LA. If someone in Podunk, Nebraska, or wherever would
Yes.
have that same
I
experience.
thought the same thing when I was coming out of it. I was like, okay, if you don't live in LA or New York or any of these big cities that have these big DJs, are you going to appreciate this story? And I said, maybe you'll like it and it'll be fun, but you won't be invested. And I
Then
can't
what's the
stand
point?
that music. Like, I can't stand that EDM music. It just drove me crazy.
If you're not invested in the characters, then
Right.
what's the point?
Well, I think that's why no one showed up. I also think it was a bit of bad marketing. I don't think the film was marketed really well.
Non-existent
not at
marketing.
all.
Yeah, like, and the same thing with War Room. I mean, I didn't really hear anything about it until I read the box office report. And
I had never heard
about
of
it
it.
from
No.
a friend who is religious, and evidently the people who make these kinds of movies, the pair of directors, are, if you're really Christian and you're really into it and you express your faith in that way, then these are 100% your movies. Aside from that, it's just like, what am I watching?
yeah.
Well,
And
then
reading the reviews is hysterical.
Did you guys
the
see
titles.
any of the films in the box office? Have you guys seen Mission Impossible or Straight Outta
yes,
Compton
Mission
yet?
Impossible, yay! I made
So
it to
good.
the movies.
It was so good. I think
loved
that
it.
deserves to be
Yeah.
up there still because it was amazing.
Yeah.
And Straight Outta Compton as well. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it's one of the most amazing pieces of filmmaking that I've seen this year. So
Really?
it's definitely yeah. I mean, it's so much more than what you think it is, and it makes such a big statement that I thought it was really amazing. So that was the box office report for this weekend. The next thing I want to do is go into the trailer park and talk about some trailers. I love the trailer park. Talk about a couple trailers that were released this week. The first trailer we're going to talk about was released for Sony Pictures' new thriller Concussion. It stars Will Smith about the incredible true David versus Goliath story of American immigrant Dr. Bennett Amalu, the brilliant forensic neuropathologist, that's a really big word, who made the first discovery of CTE. That's the football-related brain trauma in a pro player and fought for the truth to be known. This is something that we see in the news, we've heard about, we know about it. To see the story of this is amazing. So, Zoe, what did you think of the trailer?
So, I watched the trailer multiple times because I couldn't figure out, first of all, when it said Will Smith, I was like, where is Will Smith? And who is this man with the accent? So I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Will Smith, but maybe I'm wrong. So I watched it a few times and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Will Smith. And then I went and looked at comments and yes, indeed it was.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a movie where he put on an accent before.
No.
yeah, and I feel like he needed an accent coach for it.
Ooh.
But I do feel like I can overlook the accent. I mean, if you look at The Real Doctor and videos of him speaking,
Yeah.
he sounds nothing like that. But I can overlook that because, let's face it, I'm a Will Smith fan because he makes the type of movies I really like.
Yeah.
He makes the fun action movies and that end happy, and that's where I am. Mostly.
Here's some shade.
But I like Will Smith.
Did you ever see 7 pounds?
Yeah, what I mostly.
That does not end happy.
No.
Not unhappy.
I am legend.
This is more of his pursuit of happiness line of work than his.
I would watch this movie,
So
okay?
many feels.
I'm not a
I like
big,
that you'd watch
I'm
that
not a
movie.
fan of thrillers. You called it a thriller. I didn't even get thriller from the trailer. I would watch it. I'm into it. Yeah.
Just from the synopsis, it doesn't sound like it would be a thriller.
It doesn't,
sounds like it
no.
would be one of those true
I was
life
reading
stories.
what Sony wrote when they sent it to me. They said it was a thriller, so I wanted to tell you what Sony told me.
no, thriller
I don't think
makes
it looks
me
like
think
a
that
thriller at
someone's
all.
gonna die.
Me too.
Sony might be wrong.
The way the trailer frames it, for those of you who haven't seen it, it is very much he makes this discovery and the corporation that is the National Football Association, even though it's a non-profit organization, quote unquote, they start basically intimidating him to kind of kill this story because it's bad publicity. And this is the type of stuff that really scares me. I love horror movies. I will watch movies about ghosts and about like people who are in masks and run around and chase teenagers around Crystal Lake. That doesn't scare me. To me, that's entertaining. This is the stuff that genuinely terrifies me because this feels real. At least to me, because
is
in
real.
my
It is.
mind,
Yeah. It is. This
a
is exactly what
corporation,
happens. Yeah.
a corporation is way scarier
Yeah.
than any goon with a mask.
Well, because they have control over things. So do you want to see the movie from the trailer?
It definitely made me interested. I was definitely intrigued, but it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I want to be uncomfortable in a movie theater for probably 2.5 hours. I'm definitely interested because it's him and it's, and, you know, I like Will Smith as an actor and I'll pretty much go see anything. I was not expecting to be that unsettled when I watched the trailer, so I'm very much intrigued.
I like that you felt unsettled. I think when a trailer can get that kind of emotion from you, they did a good job. Katie, what did you think of the trailer, and will you check out the movie?
Like I said, it sounds like one of those true life stories. Again, I'm not entirely certain about the designation of thriller, but it sounds like it would be up my alley. Not something I'd see opening weekend, but something that what's on tonight? Oh, let's do that. That sounds like a good
Maybe
plan.
Netflix.
I like that.
Maybe Netflix.
Yeah. Sony, we need a new definition for thriller because we're all confused.
We need a second trailer. Give us more.
Yeah, I really liked the trailer. I also was intrigued. I love things that are based on true stories. I love things that, I don't know if you guys watch Mr. Robot. Huge fan of Mr. Robot. Same kind of thing. The corporations are killing us. And I like that they're showing that because that's a really big thing to show, especially with the NFL being as big as they are. And there was that line in the trailer that he says, you're dealing with a company that basically owns a day of the week. That's so true when you think about it, and it's so scary. I also loved that I saw Luke Wilson in there briefly. I love when he takes serious roles. He doesn't do it often, but if you want to see a great movie that he's super serious, that never made it to theaters, it's called Middlemen, and it's amazing. I worked on it. It was the first movie I ever worked on, and it's the best acting I've ever seen him do, and I'm so sad that more people haven't seen it. I also saw Eddie Marson. I'm a big Ray Donovan fan, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. I am obsessed with this actress. She's the lead in Beyond the Lights. If you haven't seen it, amazing. She's also the lead in Belle, which I fought my hardest not to see because it looked so boring, even though I love those kind of throwback films. And I got sucked in at 2 a.m. and I couldn't stop crying by the end of it. She is absolutely one of those actresses to watch that's going to be amazing. So I loved that, so I definitely want to check that out. And the director was the director that wrote, he directed Parkland, which was the JFK movie, which didn't do so well, but it was actually pretty good. But he wrote Kill the Messenger, and that was the Jeremy Renner film that was also based on a true story. So I feel like this is kind of his sweet spot, so I feel like that at least has good potential.
Okay.
The second trailer is the new trailer, which is the second trailer for Goosebumps hit the web last week and gave us a closer look at some of the monsters that good old R.L. Stine is the master of. I don't know about you guys, but I grew up on these books and love them. From books to the TV, it's now heading to the big screen, and we're all excited. The film's set to hit theaters on October 16th, just in time for Halloween, and stars Jack Black, Ken Marino from Veronica Mars, for all my marshmallows, Dylan Millette from Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good Day, Jillian Bell from 22 Jump Street, and Odeya Rush from The Giver, who I really liked her in that, so I'm excited. So, Megan, what did you think about the trailer?
I have been excited for this movie for so long. Okay, this is probably embarrassing to admit, but when I found out that they had episodes of Goosebumps on Netflix, I was like, oh, hell yeah. I know what I'm doing for the next 4 hours. And actually, roughly around every Halloween, I will track down, The Haunted Mask and, rewatch The Haunted Mask at some point in October.
This had pieces of it.
Yeah.
This has pieces of The Haunted Mask.
And so I'm just ecstatic that this is happening. I didn't know what to think of early on casting, but actually seeing Jack Black, I know we're not all in agreement on this, but I find Jack Black to be entirely entertaining. I see him as Jack Black. I don't see him as the character he's supposed to be portraying as R.L. Stine, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun in that kind of Night at the Museum, Jumanji kind of way.
Yeah. Katie?
I honestly want to hear what R.L. Stine thinks about it.
He's on Twitter.
I want something straight from the horse's mouth for this, because yes, I am stoked for this. It's either going to be a really great movie and I will be super entertained, or it is going to be the worst thing ever and I will be super entertained.
Goosebumps is both.
It is.
It's like Tales from the Crypt and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, it is. It's great.
All of those things, they are both the best and worst things.
And this
So
is
you guys are both
Night
check
at the
it out.
Museum and Jumanji with a kiddie horror twist, and yeah, it's my nostalgia. Of course,
It
I'm
has
gonna
the
do
Abominable Snowman in it. You have to go see it.
Gnomes and the
was
werewolf
honestly not my
of what
favorite
I
book.
assume
Fever
is Fever
Swamp.
Those gnomes. Those gnomes. When you first see them at the beginning of the trailer, I was like, oh, look how cute. And then at the end of the trailer, I was like, oh my God, I knew I hated them. Zoe, what did you think of the trailer?
Okay, this is one that I'm waiting for Netflix. I did read the books.
Wow.
I read the books. But I told the ladies this earlier. You guys are going to laugh at me maybe. Jack Black reminded me of Robin Williams from 1 Hour Photo. It was like that haircut, the really round face, and the whole trailer. All I could think was Robin Williams. And I know it's weird. I know that's why I'm at Zoe Said What, because what the heck did I just say? But that's how I felt. I was just, I liked the books, but I'll wait for Netflix. I'll take Concussion while you guys watch Goosebumps.
All right. It's being directed by Rob Letterman, so he's reteaming with Black. They worked together before. And before he worked with Black, the only films he directed were animated. And the last one he did with Jack Black didn't do really well. So I think that because it's kind of a big tentpole, people love Goosebumps, they're going to show up. But I'm really curious to see kind of how it works out. The trailer looks good. It definitely got me excited to see a lot of those monsters that we read about growing up. And I like that they gave us some laughs. They gave us some fun stuff. They gave us some monsters. They gave us everything that we kind of want as Goosebumps fans.
The one thing I don't think this movie is going to be in any way, shape, or form is actually scary.
No.
This
Jump
is both,
scares.
This is both. Well, even that.
I don't know.
for me,
I don't know if
maybe.
you'll even have those. And I liked it because it made it more family friendly, which I think was a concern at the beginning. Like the market for this is obviously us that grew up with it, but then you have to think about the new kids who are just getting
people who
introduced
are bringing
to it.
their children
Yeah,
to it.
you want this to be, and they did a really good job of showing us that.
I will say though that on the one hand, tonally, I think it is going to be a blast, but like. I think I'm probably going to walk into this movie and walk out and go, the show was better. because when I was a kid, the show actually succeeded at scaring me.
Yeah.
And
Maybe because you were a kid.
But it's because you're a kid.
But it was
If you watch it
'cause I
now,
was
are you
a
still
kid.
scared?
Oh, no.
I'm still stuck on, the show was better.
Which it's not. It's
Oh,
not.
no.
100% it's not.
Oh, that is massive nostalgia goggles.
I know.
so much.
All right, the last trailer we're going to talk about before we leave the trailer park is this week the second trailer for Rock the Casbah starring Bill Murray hit the web. The film tells the story of a down-on-his-luck music manager who discovers a teenage girl with a wonderful voice while on a music tour in Afghanistan and takes her to Kabul to compete in the popular television show Afghan Star, which I'm assuming is similar to American Idol. Katie, what did you think of the trailer, and will you see it?
I'm not entirely certain because I keep thinking Slumdog Millionaire with an American Idol twist.
Huh. Okay.
So again, I'm not entirely certain on this one.
Fair enough. I was intrigued because anybody who's seen Lost in Translation knows that when it comes to an international comedy, Bill Murray can knock it out of the park. But for me, it was just nice seeing Bill Murray in a movie again, like in a movie trailer.
Wait, St. Vincent?
Sorry?
He did St. Vincent
I
recently.
know, I didn't see it.
Okay. No one else did but me. You're fine.
terrible.
No one else went to the theater but me.
You had it all to yourself.
I did. I really did.
You and the intern?
Yeah, the intern wasn't around then.
So I'll admit I didn't see St. Vincent, but I was surprised. I never thought I would ever see Bruce Willis and Bill Murray like on the same screen together at the same time. I don't know why I never thought that they would ever coexist on the screen at the same time. I don't know what to think of this movie. I think it looks like a quirky comedy. But I don't know. I'm gonna wait for one more trailer before I decide whether or not I'll pay money to go see it.
Dollar Theater?
Maybe, or again, maybe Netflix.
Just a throwback. What did you think, Zoe?
I don't know. You haven't said your opinion yet, but it sounds like I might be the only one who is really into this. That this looks like my type of movie. I felt like there's going to be some fun, some singing. And I loved that it's a movie that takes place in Afghanistan that's not war. And, we see some soldiers, but it doesn't look like that's going to be what the movie's about. And so I like that. And hey, people singing, like having fun. There's some comedy. Like, I love it. As long as I walk out of the theater happy, I'm good. So I would definitely see this. Maybe before Concussion. Now I'm like,
Depends on how dramatic you want to be.
I mean, you've had a good time when you walk out of the theater with a smile on your face.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
that's my standard. I want to feel good when I leave the movie.
You know, it's so funny. before I tell you what I thought of the trailer, I will say that some of my favorite movie-going experiences were not good movies, but they were movies that I had a blast in, like Vampire
Ghost
Academy.
Rider.
Vampire Academy was mine. So, all right.
Ghost Rider.
I love this movie.
It was pretty awful.
I'm super excited for this movie. The first trailer I felt iffy about. The second trailer I'm excited about. I love this cast. It has a little bit of everything. When you have Bill Murray, Zooey Deschanel, Bruce Willis, Taylor Kinney from Chicago. I mean, hello, Chicago Fire. Kate Hudson, Danny McBride, Scotty Hahn, and it's inspired by a true story, which I didn't know. But it looks like so much fun. All of these actors are great character actors and are really strong performers in everything they do. So I think it will be really, really fun. And the director is the guy who directed Rain Man, Bugsy, Good Morning Vietnam, and Wag the Dog. So just saying.
He's got an amazing. Okay,
And
I take it back.
just saying.
Okay, maybe we'll go see it full price.
I take it back. I take back every
See what we learn.
thing I said.
Yeah. See what we learn when ladies
tease
talk
me.
movies.
You tease me that I like something because of Will Smith, and now you hear the director's name, and it's like, maybe I won't wait for Netflix after all.
I mean, Rain Man.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wag the Dog, I feel like that was underappreciated, but
I think it looks amazing, and I'm really excited to see it.
Yay.
So there's a couple pieces of movie news that I just wanted to go over before we do what's coming out this weekend. Last week we got a first look at Michael Fassbender as Callum Lynch in the upcoming film based on the popular video game that you guys have not stopped talking about, Assassin's Creed. It's set to hit theaters this December, and the internet, of course, went crazy with both good and bad things to say about this picture and this news. Megan, what do you think of the look of this new character?
Well, first of all, Michael Fassbender, always a
right?
plus. Always a plus. But I kind of agree with the internet on this one in terms of like one of the biggest criticisms from the internet is that this looks like a Photoshop. It looks like they took a picture of Michael Fassbender and then threw on
Assassin garb.
Threw on assassin garb in post. It doesn't look.
You
like
can't even tell it's
actually
him either, by the way.
Well, that's the point of assassin garb.
I mean, but I want to see Michael Fassbender.
Actually familiar with the games.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be a girl.
You're no good to them.
You can see their face. Womp womp.
But the other thing is I don't play the games myself, but my little brother is super into Assassin's Creed, and so I know a lot about the games from him, and I am invested in some of the story, and it's a convoluted story, guys. Like, there's some weird stuff that goes on in the Assassin's Creed world. For those of you who are completely unfamiliar with it, I won't say too much because spoilers. But so I'm wondering, like, how much they're gonna stick to the lore of the world. Especially for one, video games, in terms of being translated to film, don't always have a great track record.
No,
but I have
not at all.
hope. There's absolutely no reason why a good movie based on a video game can't exist.
Well, if they make it self-contained, because he's not only playing Callum, he's also playing, which is why we see him in the assassin's gear, a 15th century Spanish assassin named Aguilar. And part of the Assassin's Creed games is that there are all these assassins in your bloodline that you are descended from. So it kind of.
I do have a thought on that
magical
too.
juju.
I kind of feel that that's an interesting choice as well. And I guess I don't know exactly how they're going to play it, but when Desmond in the first few games goes, he uses this technology to see the memories of his ancestors. He doesn't look like Desmond in the game. He looks like his ancestor. So it's interesting that they're keeping it Michael Fassbender and that they're not just, because Desmond himself is kind of important. He gets more important as the games go on, but he's basically just the lens that we're looking through. And I guess they wanted to make him more of the hero, or I guess in this particular case, Calum more of the hero.
But let's face it, we're a lot more interested in Altair and Connor.
Well, they're saying that this is not a character from the video game.
Not.
This is entirely new.
Different
what she's
character,
saying.
different time period, different everything. So it's possible that they're kind of using the lore of the games in the way the mechanics go, but stepping away from the characters that they've covered in the games and talking with someone else who is descended from the assassins doing some sort of purpose,
to be fair,
which this is Columbus time. 15th century, 1492. What could we possibly cover? I am intrigued by the time period.
Yeah,
Not
the
gonna lie.
movie isn't retelling any of the existing stories in the games.
Oh, yeah.
They're introducing all new characters into the same world, which I think has the potential of it being a better film, because I think that's where it gets lost when they translate video game to big screen, is that people are so stuck on their characters and their stories that they know and love, it doesn't always work, you know? So I think that because they're doing that, I think that it has a lot of potential, and I did like the look of the picture. It didn't bother me that it looked a little photoshopped at all. I got excited about it, and I wasn't really excited about Assassin's Creed.
I want a
like,
more
they're great.
distinctive costume.
Yeah,
I
for
really
sure.
do,
Yeah.
it looks a little generic assassin for me. I really want
It just
flair.
doesn't look real.
Especially after we've seen the pirate assassins. They looked amazing.
The pirate
I've seen
assassins-
cosplayers that do really interesting. I'm an assassin from the American West. I'm a modern one. I'm from feudal Japan. And they have really distinctive looks. This does not say 15th century Spain to me. This is just kind of generic
He's an
back then
assassin.
assassin wear. Ooh, I want a better costume.
You know which costumes I really, really love is actually the costumes from the upcoming game where it takes place in London.
Yes.
And you can actually play as a girl. Thank
Yes.
you. Took you guys long enough.
Evidently, they're not too difficult to model.
How about that?
Oh my gosh.
Zoe, I'm going to guess that you're like me and don't know much about Assassin's Creed, but what did you think about the picture, and did it make you want to see the movie at all?
Well, actually, I think your point that it's a different character than the game. So I'm not familiar with the game at all, and of course I watched this. But I'm wondering, do you think that'll help or hurt the box office? Because will there be people like me who go, oh, well, I'm not familiar with that. No, I'm not going to go. Whereas it sounds like if it's different characters, why not?
I think people will go for, if they understand that it's same world, similar mechanics, different character, they'll go for it because the world and the mechanics are part of what make it so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think
we
it will
need a
help the box
trailer.
office.
But will
We need a
people
trailer.
know?
We need a synopsis. We need more than just video game movie.
They're now saying pretty openly that it's not a retelling of the video game, and I think it will help the box office because people like me who might not have gone to see it because I don't know the video game will want to go see it now because I don't need to know all the other stuff.
Well,
But then we have Hitman, which wasn't a retelling of the video game and was so bad.
Yeah. Well, the next thing I want to.
I do want to say that like because it's a big order and it does span over eons and centuries. There are a lot of stories to tell within that, and I actually think it's to an extent helpful to not focus on Altair and Connor and Ezio, because as part of that story is done.
Yeah.
That story is done, and every subsequent game that they've done that's outside of that main trilogy, not counting the spin-offs, has been its own self-contained story. So this is just another self-contained story.
And if they can do it right, this could be a really big franchise and bring in a lot of money if they can do it right.
And
Knock
they
wood, you guys. Knock wood.
And they can, if this does well, like it could be an anthology series in that we
Yeah,
could
there's
hop
so
over
much.
to so many different
big
times
world.
and places. Feudal Japan, pirates, like the sky's
Cowboys.
the limit.
I really want. I saw a cosplayer on Tumblr and he twirled the gun and he looked amazing. And I'm like, I want your story.
All right,
me.
guys. This week, Instagram announced that in addition, this is gonna go into movie news. I swear. Instagram announced that in addition to Square posts, you can now share photos, videos in both portrait and landscape. And guess who got to post the first sample? When you have the Force on your side, you can do anything. It was Star Wars Force Awakens, and we got to see a little clip of a new video. Katie, what did you think?
Honestly, I think the bigger news is that Instagram is letting you do portrait and landscape photos.
No!
As someone who has had to wrangle with 3 different apps to get portrait and landscape things to work in Instagram, this is like, hallelujah. The Star Wars clip is 15 seconds long and has 3 seconds of new content. And people are losing their minds over the fact that we have a new lightsaber wielder, but that's it.
Should I put it? I mean, they're a little small.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, come on. 15 seconds.
You
12
can't
of
wait
which
till December.
12 of which we've seen before.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that I am super excited for the new Star Wars. I was at Star Wars weekends. I lost my mind when they brought BB-8 on
We
stage.
watched the season 2 premiere of Rebels.
We did, and it was
BTW.
amazing. Oh my God. So I'm super stoked for this. But I am so tired of tiny trailers and mini trailers and trailers of trailers and 10 seconds of nothing. It's like, I want the cupcake. Quit giving me crumbs. I just want the cupcake.
Cracked did a video on that about like wanting to break up with teasers for teasers.
The only one who's done a good teaser for a trailer is Deadpool. And that's because it's Deadpool who is aware of the fourth wall, pointing out that it's kind of a jerk move to do a teaser for a trailer, but it actually made it funny because it was aware. This is another one of those maddening little, here's 15 seconds.
But what did you think
us?
about the 3 seconds that you hadn't seen before? Let's talk about what the video, not everything else. What did you think about the
movie
3
culture?
seconds? No, because I agree. I hate teaser trailers. But what did you think about the 3 seconds that you did see? Did it make you even more excited, or were you just like, I could have waited for a bigger trailer?
I really could have waited for a bigger I mean, I'm intrigued. I watched the internet blow up.
Yeah.
But usually if there's something to really blow up about, it'll continue on for forever. This was a blip on the radar. So again, when they get a second trailer, that's when it's going to go wild. That's when we'll see more stuff. I honestly think the Star Wars Facebook page had better media this time around, with the person shutting down the guy complaining about how female armor didn't look sexy.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
That was awesome.
Way to go, Star Wars.
Okay, well, you've probably guessed by now, not necessarily a huge Star Wars fan. However,
And the comment section just blew up. Our comment section just exploded.
Get out.
Good.
We'll bring her in. It's okay.
I figure I may as well be honest with you guys, because I know I'm not the only one who's watching out there who is not a huge fan. But I will say, I even noticed that the lightsaber was different. And I came in and asked these ladies, was it me or is there something new? So I feel like if they can do something new that someone like me, who doesn't know anything about this world, even notices, then that's pretty impressive in a 15-second trailer.
Especially for a franchise that's been around longer than we have.
Right.
The thing is that 3-pronged lightsaber was shown in the full trailer that they premiered
Like
at Star Wars
ages
weekends.
ago.
Yeah, that's kind of old news.
But you're right though. The internet back then, like way back
months ago. Well, in internet time, it's
Facebook
internet. People were making a big deal about that, and probably the best thing I saw on that was Stephen Colbert shutting down the people who didn't like it. He's like, shut up, this works, this is just fine.
What did you think?
Personally, for me, again, I'm kind of with Katie in that the thing I was way more excited about was the Facebook message shutting down the comment about how, like, her armor didn't look feminine. I love that because is she a captain? Phasma?
I think so. It's Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah.
It's Gwendolyn freaking Christie.
So she's amazing. So I'm more excited that they took that stance, and I'm really excited about the cast, and just in general this movie is going to be amazing.
All right. And yesterday, Variety reported that Universal Studios has offered James Foley, best known for, and I don't have what he's best known for because I couldn't find anything that I knew.
James Foley.
He's going to get the director's chair for the upcoming sequel of 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, because Sam Taylor Johnson decided to leave the franchise shortly after the release of the first film. We are going to have to get cut a little bit short tonight because there was a little bit of studio issues. So really quickly, so we can get to the next one. Zoe, what do you think of Foley at the helm of this film?
Okay, I think it's interesting. I had to look him up and see what he's done. You have seen stuff from him because I bet you've seen the Papa Don't Preach Madonna video.
That's scary.
So I feel like maybe he'll do an okay job with this. I think it's interesting he studied psychology, so he could bring a whole new side. So, hey, go for it. I'm good.
Katie, what did you think?
I really don't care about this franchise. Okay. I feel like this is bringing a director in to replace someone who got off of thinking, oh my God, no.
All right. Megan, what do you think?
Same here. I could care less because I haven't read the book. I haven't watched the movie. I've seen CinemaSins' Everything Wrong with 50 Shades of Grey.
Which is beautiful.
And I've seen film theorists breaking down about how Christian Grey is a sociopath.
Which he is.
And a manipulative monster. I don't
comment
care.
section's going to explode now.
I feel bad, guys, but I'm not going to lie. I don't care.
I am excited about this because I loved the first movie and have read all the books, and I go through the sex because I can't stand reading the stupid sex parts, but I love this story.
Is there anything left of the books?
There is a lot left of it. Don't Don't judge it if you haven't read it. There's a lot
I
left
couldn't
of
get
it,
through it.
and it's very similar to Twilight. The story is very similar to Twilight, and I loved it, and I'm really excited that she's not coming back.
You realize
You're not
it
winning over
started
this
as Twilight
That's
fan
okay.
fiction.
I do, and that's why I'm saying it's a lot like it. The next piece of news we want to cover is superhero news. X-Men Apocalypse, Captain America Civil War, and Suicide Squad are all officially done filming. Thank God. Suicide director David Ayer has shared an amazing pic of the entire cast and crew on Instagram. There's been tons of fun photo sharing on Instagram for this film by the cast and the crew, something that I really feel like WB did for a reason, because they've had quite the uphill battle. And some of the cast members are even getting matching tattoos, which means to me that sounds like they're really excited about this project. Leah Seydoux from Blue is the Warmest Color has been offered a lead female role in Gambit, and Doctor Strange may be adding Mads Mikkelsen for the villain role. Megan, we have short on time. What do you think of all this superhero news?
Super glad about X-Men because although the photo anyway, Apocalypse
Character designs are interesting.
Character designs are interesting, but Days of Future Past and First Class gave me hope for this franchise
Yes,
again,
yes,
so
yes.
I'm super excited. Civil War, there's, it's Marvel. It's going to be good. The roster that we have is going to be great.
I have the roster. It's
I have a
beautiful.
lot of faith in Marvel. For Doctor Strange having Mads Mikkelsen, Hannibal as your villain, like, how can you go wrong? And he was also great in Casino Royale. He's so good in that.
I agree.
So in terms of Suicide Squad, casting is interesting, and I'm really glad that the cast themselves seems to have had a really good time on this. I have mixed feelings on it. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, but Warner Brothers has a very just
Iffy.
all of the stuff going on with Batman v Superman. I don't have a lot of confidence necessarily, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I'm willing to be cautiously optimistic, cautiously so.
Katie, what do you think?
I will be comparing Suicide Squad to Arrow the entire time, so I'm definitely going to wait to see what people at large say about it. Who is the female role in Gambit? If it's Rogue, I'm 1,000% for it. It is it?
Oh no, I'm saying
Okay.
that's exciting.
I'm just wondering who it will be.
Yeah.
And
Days of Future
Gambit
Past.
casting has been up in the air, so
Yeah.
who even knows?
Oh, yeah.
But go ahead.
Apocalypse, again, the character designs look interesting, but after the past two movies, I am in. Civil War is going to be a blast, and I cannot believe how they divided the teams. It's incredibly lopsided, but I'm really interested to see how that's going to go down. Was that it? Am I missing a piece? Doctor Strange. Not familiar with everything, not super thrilled for Benedict Cumberbatch, really happy for Tilda Swinton, so we'll see how Mads Mikkelsen fits into that.
Zoe,
I'll
quickly?
keep it short and fast. I'll defer to you guys on all of the mythology, but I like the fun action. So, hey, I'm on board for fun, good, big special effects.
All right.
The only thing I have to say about this news is Suicide Squad is the first thing that has gotten me excited by WB in years. I've become such a Marvel fangirl, even though I was brought up on WB, but Suicide Squad is making me really, really excited, and I love these matching tattoos. Before we let you go, we want to let you know what's coming out this weekend. We have Transporter Refueled without Jason Statham, so let's see how that's going to go. Before we go, which I know nothing about, and Un Gallo con Muchos Huevos, which is the first Mexican-American film to be released in the United States, which is a huge deal, guys. And it's really, really a fun film that everyone can enjoy. You do have to read subtitles if you do not speak Spanish. And also, Dope is being re-released this Friday, so if you haven't checked it out, you really want to go see it because it's one of the best films that I've seen in a really long time, right up there with Straight Outta Compton. So, ladies, tell everyone where they can find you. Next time we will be a full hour, so I apologize. But where can they find you guys?
You can find me at Zoe Said What.
You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at KiaJ, and on Snapchat at Kia Prime.
I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows at our sister network, AfterBuzz.
And you guys can find me everywhere at Chrisley. Don't forget to follow us at The Movie Chickk and go to our website, themoviechick.com, with 2 Ks like me to read all these lovely ladies' opinion on films. And don't forget to check out Popcorn Talk Network as well. We have to thank them for this amazing studio. They have amazing shows all about movies that cover everything. So make sure you go down there. Comment below, because the most fun part of doing this is when we get to talk to you guys about what you think about what we said. So make sure you go down there, and then do us a favor, like, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so we know you love us and we keep giving you videos. Thank you guys so much. Say goodbye to the intern, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.